Hey, all, welcome back to the Tool Shed. I want to talk to you about this tool that I use. I use it a lot with clients. Let me give you context for this particular tool. So it's somebody who comes to me and they're really trying to drill down into their why, right? Into their purpose. Viktor Frankl says if you have your why, you can endure anyhow. And so when I'm working with this person, we'll take out of the shed the Soul Thread tool. And this is about zooming out and seeing your life in a larger context. It's so easy. We get caught up day to day, just in the grind, right? As teacher mine Wayne Dyer says, we're human doings, we're not human beings. And when you're in the doing, it's easy to think you're doing your why, but you lose the forest for the trees. You just get so fragmented and fractured. And what this does is that it allows you to zoom out and see your life as a whole. And so what is the soul thread? It's the thread that is woven through your life. I go to the mirror, you do the mirror exercise. I used to have a lot more of this. I used to have a lot less of this. This has changed. The flesh suit comes and it goes. And there are certain aspects of our personality that are more pronounced at different times. What I'm talking about, the why doesn't change. Your mission changes, right? The vision of your life doesn't. As I say in my 9 Lives Enneagram program, your soul contract is yours and yours alone. So that was there when you were 5, and when you were 25, and when you're 55, and when you're 105. And so what we do is we look for that thread. Now, how do we look for it? Well, one of the key ways we do that is through stories. I mean, think about all the stories you have in your life, all the experiences, billions, trillions, like too many to quantify. So isn't it interesting that when I think back when I was 8 years old, I have a couple key memories, stories, memories, whatever you want to call it, data points. And I look at that. And then I look at another data point, maybe when I'm 15. And I'll look at another one when I'm 25 and when I'm 55. And what I'll start to see is those data points aren't all that different. So one of my favorite ones, one of my earliest memories, I think about it quite often. Out of a billion trillion memories, I go back to this as one of my key moments, my connectors for my soul thread. 8 years old, 10 years old, somewhere in there. My mom and my dad had a fight. It was about me. I don't remember what it was about. Not shocking. I'm an Enneagram 8. It was always about me. And my dad, I don't know if he got kicked out of the bedroom or he chose to not sleep in the bedroom. All I know is that he slept on the couch. And I remember going down to that couch and just feeling a compassion, a sadness, a guilt, and watching my dad sleep there. And he didn't have a blanket, so I went back upstairs and I got a blanket and I put it on him and covered him. And then I got one for myself and I slept on the couch parallel to his. Why is that important? Because later on in life, my 20s were me trying to save my dad. I mean, I just spent so much time trying to convince him to stay alive. Not literally at first. As you probably know, he took his life later on. His mother had killed herself. And I just intuited bits and pieces that he was heading down the wrong path. And then 30s, really tumultuous, trying to get him to wake up, take responsibility. And then, my late 30s, he killed himself. Bottom line is, that's a soul thread. It's not the soul thread, but that's the point. You just start looking at these things from a young age to where you are, to where you're going. It doesn't change. And once you can get a hold of one of those threads, it gives you more security to stand on right now. It's really particularly powerful when you have to make a life decision. You have to maybe make a professional decision. I work with a lot of guys, executive coaching, and they just get to this crossroads and their buddies are saying one thing, their spouse is saying another thing, their parent is saying something else, their bank account is saying something entirely different. And so what we'll do is we'll start looking at that particular soul thread and we'll go back and we'll start finding those data points when they were a kid and when they were, again, in college, what they studied, what they didn't study, what they wanted to study, their first job, their second job, what was true about those jobs, what was false about those jobs. We just start sifting through and it's uncanny, but you can see the patterns. You can see where the thread came from and where it's going. So often we just kind of assume, oh, of course we got here, or it was random, it was haphazard, or whatever. But there's a rhyme, there's a reason, there's a thread. Your life is a tapestry. And though we can't always see it when we're so close up, it's like one of those sort of those, you zoom out and it's, I forgot what it's called, pointillism, where all those dots actually make a picture. It's like the picture of Abraham Lincoln or something. Up close, you can't see it. So we zoom out and we start seeing these threads. Now, you don't have a thread, you have a tapestry of threads. So you have your relationship soul thread, you have your professional soul thread, you have all kinds of these threads. And what becomes really exciting is when you can start to see them. You start to see all the needle points, if you will, that make them up. You start seeing the threads, how they connect. You can see how this thread got disrupted by this event. You can go back to those threads, sort of undo it with one of those, things they undo threads with. And then you can resew, restitch, go in a different direction. But I would urge you not to think of it necessarily as wrong. That thread got tied up or cut off at that particular time for that particular reason. And if it's truly a soul thread, you just got to pick it up later on because, again, we don't change. Fundamentally don't change. I'll end with that. This isn't about becoming a better you. This is about returning to the true you. Your thread was, is, and will be. And it's not that we have to go, back and create a new thread. We got to get back to that old thread. We got to get back to that true thread. For whatever reason, 1,000 different reasons, we got off track. We started sewing in a different direction. Our thread didn't end up where we intended or wanted or know that it could or should be. And so we got to zoom out, got to take a look at the tapestry, and you got to get back into it with this perspective. Get back to your why. You don't have a why, you have lots of whys, and follow that why all the way through. That's the soul thread. This one's not concrete. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're not. It's a little abstract, but I think it gives you at least a sense of what this tool can do for you. I encourage you to play with it, to write about it, to utilize it. Give me your responses and your insights on the soul thread, because this is something, we're weaving together. Until I see you in the next video, live with meaning, purpose, and resilience.